Hi, this is a 20-30 minute hip opener sequence. What you'll need for this sequence are 2 yoga blocks and ideally a bolster, but some couch cushions or a couple of pillows will do as well if you don't have a bolster. Okay, we're going to start seated. And what I'd like you to do is prop yourself up in a seated position. So even if it's comfortable to sit like this, we want to take out any strain in the groin, the hip flexors. So you can either stack your blocks like this. You can also stack them side by side, have a little bit more space. You can also sit on the bolster. I'm going to go ahead and stack my blocks side by side. And then I'm going to lift up and sit on the blocks. So now you see the knees fall below your hip line. So it allows a lot more space. And the goal of this whole sequence and practice is to release the hips. So we don't want to start with tension. Once you're on your blocks, make sure you're sitting towards the front so that you feel your sits bones on the blocks, but then kind of pull the flesh of your buttocks away. You feel them even more. And then that allows even more gravity to kind of pull those knees down. Hi, Clementine. All right, so from here, this may already feel like a nice stretch, but you're going to sit in your tall spine. Inhale, feel your rib cage lift away from your pelvis. Exhale, feel your abdominals engage around your spine. Keep letting the legs go. On the next inhale, lift your arms up. Let your shoulders rise towards your ears and feel your ribs lift away from your pelvis, creating more space in your spine. As you exhale, rotate the spine to the right and bring your left hand on your right thigh and bring the right hand behind you. Maybe the fingertips brush the floor. Use your hands as leverage. Inhale, sit taller. Exhale, press with your hands to help twist your torso. Inhale. As you exhale, relax those legs and twist a little deeper. On your next inhale, come back to center and lift your arms up again. Big stretch. Lift those shoulders up to the ears. Create space in your spine. Relax the legs. Exhale, twist to the left. Lower the hands. Your right hand comes to the left thigh. Left hand behind you. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, twist a little deeper. Relaxing your legs, relaxing the buttocks. And again, inhale, lift tall. And exhale, deepen that twist. Next inhale, come back to center. We're going to switch the crossing of your legs, the opposite leg in front. All right. As the hips open up more, this will start to feel less awkward over time because ideally both hips will be open, so it won't feel like a strain when you go to the opposite leg. And again, inhale, sit tall. Lift your arms up. Ground through the pelvis. Let the knees and the thighs relax. Exhale, rotate to the right. Lower those hands. Inhale, lift your spine, anchor your pelvis. Let the block support your weight. Exhale, deepen that twist. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, one more time. Wring out your waist. Inhale, back to center. Last time the other way. Reach your arms up. Let those legs fall. Let those knees release. And exhale, rotate to the left. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, deepen the twist. One more time, inhale. Exhale, wring out that waist. And then on your next inhale, come back to center. All right, go ahead and come off the blocks. Put them to the side. And then go ahead and open those legs as wide as you comfortably can. Okay, kind of again, move the flesh of your buttocks away so you feel the sits bones on the mat. Now from here, take that right knee, pull it in, place the bottom of the foot on the inside of your thigh, however high you can comfortably get the spine. Now this is where you could also use a block or even a bolster. I'll show you how. Hi, Claire. So you can either put the bolster on this leg or you can take a block and place it on the inside of that straight knee on the highest level. All right, so here's what it will look like. Find that nice lift in your spine like we just did. As you exhale, rotate from the waist to face your straight leg. Keep relaxing this right hip down And then keep a long spine, and you're going to lower your belly button towards your thigh. Keep leading forward with your heart, lifting up. Once you've come as far forward as you can, reach your arms, grab on down to the leg wherever you can reach. Maybe you can reach the ankle, maybe you can reach the bottom of the foot. Keep anchoring this right hip down and keep rotating through the spine. Now, this block is here. Once you find your nice position, see if you can adjust it. Forehead, ideally, resting on the block. And you're going to hold here for at least 8 to 10 breaths. Now, the bolster modification looks like this, where you can pull it all the way into your belly button and then reach over, and it kind of gives a little bit, takes some of the pressure off the back and allows you to really sit into the hips. So you can try both types of support. And then eventually, as you sit into it deeper, if you feel relief, you can lower that block to the next setting. Keep breathing. Hold for 2 more breaths. And then gently, slowly come out of the stretch. We're going to do the other leg. Send that right leg long. Move the prop. Bend the left knee. Find equal weight on your sit bones. Inhale, lift through your spine. As you exhale, rotate. Keep the spine long, trying to find a straight back. You're hinging from the hips, leading forward with the heart. You're drawing your navel towards your thigh. Once you've come as far as you can, grab hold of your shin, your ankle, or your foot, and then get your prop ready and let your forehead rest and breathe. With every inhale, you lengthen a little bit more. And with every exhale, you release. Still try to keep the weight even in both hips. 4 more breaths on this side. One more inhale. And then exhale, slowly lift the head and gently come out of the stretch. All right. So now again, have that prop ready. You may need a block and the bolster on top of the block. I'm going to go this direction so you can see. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together. You can also use both blocks, lots of ways to prop you up here. I'm going to show you the way to use all of the props. So you're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees fall open. Now, you don't want to pull your feet all the way in. You actually want to create that diamond shape. So the feet are actually going to be a little further out. Okay. And then so this way, it really allows you to hold yourself up in a straight spine. Now, if you feel like there's some strain here, take the block. I'm going to show you how to do this. So you can take the block and put it at an angle like this, so that by the time you can kind of move it away, by the time the knee falls open, it's on the flat end of the block and it's propped up. So that's one way. You can also simply just let it fall and let the knee rest. So there's 2 different heights to work with. So go ahead and place your block so that you feel, wedge it in there enough so that you feel the weight of the legs supported on the block. So it's not strained, right? The only way to really allow that release is to let the muscle relax. And then this bolster is going to come right in between, maybe on top of your feet. You may want to stack a couple extra pillows, a couple other blankets, depending on where you are in your mobility. Same thing here. I want you to lift your spine really tall. Inhale. As you exhale, start to lead, straight spine, lead from the belly button. Start to walk your fingertips forward. Take a second, relax, let those legs be supported by the block. This is an intense one. Stay with it. See if you can get yourself lower. If you have a third block, you could put a block here for your head. Slowly, we'll stay in this a little longer. Letting your head be supported. Every inhale, lengthen. Every exhale, release. Another option, you turn the bolster on its end This is nice. And if you feel like your hips are releasing a little bit already here, you can take the supports away. And then as you press into the soles of the feet, feel those knees open a little more. And then go back into the stretch. But if you feel strain or tension, put those blocks back. And let them be supported. One more breath here. And then slowly come out of that stretch. Okay, excellent. All right, that was kind of our warm up. We're going to get into a little bit of movement now. Go ahead and just put your props to the side. We'll come back to them. Come to an all fours position, hands and knees. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And we're going to go through a little cat-cow. So as you inhale, arch your spine, bring your chest forward, look up. And then exhale, curl the tailbone under. Round your spine, drop the head. Inhale, arch. Really feel as you arch the spine, imagine that the sit bones are spreading apart from each other, creating space in the pelvis. And then round your spine, drop the head. One more time here. Again, in the arch, take a second. And then from here, I want you, without moving the leg, I want you to visualize your knees pulling the mat apart from side to side, like you're trying to rip it away from each other, okay? Again, your legs don't actually move on the mat, but you're actively pressing out, engaging the outer hip and glute. And again, feel that spreading of the sit bone. That's it. Hold this, a couple more breaths. Abdominals slightly engaged to support the spine. And then release. Go into that cat one more time. Good. And we're going to do that one more time. Find a little bit of that extension in your upper spine and then pull the knees apart. That's it. Feel that opening, activation of that outer hip. So when the outer hip is tight, it's also functionally weak. So we want to fire up those muscles to prepare us for the work ahead. All right, let's do one more cat stretch. Drop your head, round your spine. Really, really push that floor away. And then come to neutral and open the knees a little wider towards the outside edges of your mat and bring the big toes to touch each other. You're going to take a child's pose. Now, again, you can use the block here. If your sit bones don't land on your heels, take a block, place it between your feet. All right, just right under there so you feel a little support. That's actually not great. Probably want it flat. Otherwise, you can also use the block under your forehead. But you want to try and get the forehead on the mat and your sit bones touching. So actually the bolster or a blanket would be better off. It's just softer underneath the glutes. And then if your head doesn't touch the mat, you can put the block underneath the forehead. And just breathe into this. So as you inhale, feel the belly button expand, feel the diaphragm expand, feel the sides of your torso expand into your thighs. And then exhale, release. 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. All right. Good. From here, there's a couple of modifications, but we're going through a plank pose. Now, you can stay on the knees as a modified plank as well. All right. Otherwise, you're going to tuck your toes under, lift your hips, find that straight line, toes under the heels, heart forward, gaze slightly lifted. As you exhale, push the mat away, lift your hips, downward facing dog. All right. So we're not going to be here long, but I want you to bend the knees a little bit and then send your tailbone up, lengthen that spine. Did you see that adjustment? So instead of this rounded curve, we're looking for that continuity, that more cow-shaped spine, that slight extension. So I'm going to bend my knees so that I can send my sit bones higher to the ceiling. And then I'm pushing up and away through my arm. So I have now a nice straight spine without any curve. Okay. Now from here, take that right leg, really, really reach it up. All the way up, open up that hip. Open the hips towards the camera. Feel that nice stretch. Keep reaching through that top leg. Maybe even bend the knee, take your scorpion tail. All right, so modification here, if you feel shoulder or wrist pain, you can do this on your forearms. Okay, so you'd come to all fours, right leg goes high, and then you can even just come on to the little fingertip here for support, open up your hips like that, bending the knee. And then see if with the knee bent, you can do a little circles. If you're in the downward dog, you can come out of it and then go back in. I know it's a tough position to hold for a while if you're not accustomed to it. Nice circles here with the knees. That's it. And then slowly lower the leg back to downward dog. Take a child's pose in between. Toes together, knees open, forehead to the mat. Sit your sits bones on your heels. Two more breaths. All right, we're going to go back into that downward facing dog. So start by finding your plank position. That's where your hands and feet need to be placed for a down dog. And then push the mat away, lift your hips up and back, bend your knees slightly so you get that nice long spine. Push into the knuckle pads of those index fingers and thumbs, spread the fingers, and then lift that left leg. Imagine someone pulling the foot up to the ceiling, open up that hip flexor, and then rotate the lower spine to open up the hips, stacking one over the other. Bend the knee, find that scorpion tail. Keep pressing through both arms. Keep driving your torso, your chest towards your right thigh. From here, little knee circles. That's it, and reverse the circles. Get a little mobility in there. And again, one more time each direction. And then re-square off the hips, lower the foot, and come back into that child's pose. Breathe into it. Start to notice already how each child's pose feels each time you come into it. You feel a little extra relief. All right, so we're gonna go into our next position from plank pose, okay? Come back into your plank. It's just a great kind of touchstone to know in terms of distance between your hands and your feet. Now, from here, lift it to downward dog so you have a little bit more space. Lift that right leg, reach it back. Now, this time, bend the right knee, bring it in towards your center. Think knee to nose, and then pull forward. You can use your hand as needed, but you're going to try and step this front foot underneath the knee, 90 degrees, right in line with the shoulder. From here, slowly and carefully drop the back knee, untuck the toes. This is where that block comes in. Okay, let me get my other one. You can have the blocks framing your feet, and you're going to lift, push down into the blocks, lift into that straight spine, and then you're pushing the feet down. You're pushing the top of the back foot into the floor. You're pushing this right foot down through the floor, and you're lifting your heart up. So that starts to pull your pelvis forward, getting a nice hip mobility and opening here, and then of course that left hip flexor. Now you can use the blocks. You can also lift your arms to get a little bit more into the pose. That's it, 2 more breaths. Good. 1 more breath. Now take your left hand back to the block. You can lower the block, or you can also go all the way to the floor with the left hand. Open up that right arm to the ceiling. Pull this right knee in towards your center as you twist. That's it. Hold into this, 1 more breath. Now lower the right hand either to the block or on the outside of your right hand, and hug the shin and the forearm together. Create a little bind. Open the left arm. That's it. A little harder to go twist to this side, but keep pushing down with the right hand. Reach up with that left. Deepen that twist. Keep pushing the right knee into your armpit on the right side. 1 more breath. Inhale. And then exhale, center. Now take your blocks. Put them on the highest angle and move them down in line with your knee. Lift up and now straighten that front leg. Keep the hips directly over this bottom knee so that you're not going back here, you're not putting pressure on the knee, you're staying 90 degrees. And then just like our first stretch, keep the spine straight. start to lower the torso towards that thigh. That's it. One more breath. Good. You can lower the blocks a little lower as you deepen into the stretch. Use the props to help you progress with ease, not with tension. All right, slowly lift your spine out of the fold. Rebend that front knee. Now, this next one, bring those blocks to the highest level if you're using them, right in line with the front foot. Now you're going to retuck the toes and lift this back knee. So now you're in a low runner's lunge. We won't be here long, but you're going to shift your weight into the front leg, and I want you just to hop that back foot in about halfway to a point where you can straighten both legs. This is your pyramid. So I want you to pull this right hip back as you feel your left hip come forward. You're scissoring the hips. Keep both heels down, both legs straight, but careful not to lock the knees. Now use the blocks to find your long, flat spine. So as I pull my heart forward, I'm sending my sit bones back. Then I'm going to bend and lower down. That's it. We're going to do all this on the other side, don't worry. One more breath here. Let the head release. Keep the legs active. All right, now rebend the front knee slightly. You're going to step back with that back leg far away. So those toes are under the heel and your front knee is 90 degrees. We're going to go into a warrior 2. So what I want you to do is pivot that back heel so that it's down and the back foot is parallel to the back edge of your mat. So the toe is facing to the left side of your mat. Use the strength of your legs, push up so that your torso is aligned right in the center of your legs. Shoulders and hips are stacked. Now from here, actively push that left outer edge of the foot into the mat and rebound that front knee to 90 degrees. Now this is a hip opener because I want you to feel your right hip moving forward, your left hip moving back, but then keep opening the right knee so it stays right over the big toe of your right foot, facing straight ahead. All right, so both legs are active and there's a spiraling of the hips going. As your right knee opens to the right, your right hip's pushing forward and your left hip's pulling back. Really nice for the hips here. You can add the arms if you feel balanced. Look towards that front thumb. 2 more breaths. Keep that spiraling going. Keep those inner thighs engaged. Keep opening that front knee so it stays right over the big toe. Back leg is strong. 1 more breath. Inhale. And then exhale. Slowly straighten the front leg. 1 more thing on this side. This is triangle pose. So now from here, send your hips slightly back and your rib cage slightly forward, maintaining the continuity of your spine, reaching forward in space, and then start to hinge from the hips as much as you can. You're going into a bit of a side bend. Your right hand will either come to the block or it'll come to the fingertips will come to the floor, or maybe the palm comes to the floor. But now from here, you're twisting your upper spine. So you're twisting to look at the back room. Ideally, your gaze is up. And then you're actively still scissoring those hips. So your left hip is still reaching back and your right hip is still trying to pull underneath you. One other option is take that left hand to the small of your back and then pull that left shoulder open. That's it. 2 more breaths. Keep the legs strong. Try not to bend or lock the knees. 1 more deep breath. Now push into the legs, engage your core, come out of triangle. Rebend the front knee, face forward, pick up the back heel, lower down to your blocks, lower down to that back knee, and then take a nice child pose before we do that all on the other side. Nice work. Start to notice the difference between the hips. I'm going to shed a layer here, getting warm. 1 more breath in child's pose. All right, good. So now we're going to do it on the other side. Find your plank position. Chest forward, it's lifted. From here, lift to your downward facing dog. Lift your left leg high to the sky. Bend the left knee, knee to nose. Contract your spine like your cat stretch As you pull the leg forward, you can use your hand to help place that left foot inside your hands right next to your left thumb. So again, you're at 90 degrees. Firm the back leg and then slowly lower the back knee, untuck the toes, and find your low crescent lunge. Lifting up. Good. And so now, again, you can choose to lift your arms. The more you lift your upper spine, the more you draw those hips forward. Legs press into the floor, your spine lifts up. 2 more breaths. Good. Slowly lower those hands. From here, move the blocks halfway down the mat. Shift your hips back. Straighten that front leg. Toes flexed. Lift and lengthen your spine. Hinge forward. Lowering the stomach towards your left thigh. Good. 2 more breaths. You can move the blocks lower, but keep lengthening your spine, trying not to round too much. And then come right back up, replace the blocks to frame the front foot. Untuck the back toes, press into the front leg, lift that back knee, low runner's lunge. Good. Now from here, you're going to hop that back foot forward until you can get the heel on the floor. Now your toes, your legs are still in their own lane. So my right foot is not directly behind my left heel. It's slightly to the right in its own lane. From here, use those blocks. First, draw. So you see my hips are off of they're not square right now. So I'm going to draw my left hip back, right hip forward. That's it. Now from here, I'm going to bend that back knee just a little so I can feel the sits bones reach back and feel that extension of my spine. And then I'm going to re-straighten that back leg. So now I have these nice, clean geometry here. My spine is parallel to the floor. My legs are straight and even. From here, I'm going to start to lower down into that forward fold. All right, 2 more breaths. Keep the spiraling of the hips. Left hip drawing back, right hip drawing forward. Keep the heels evenly pressed into the mat. 1 more breath. And now from here, slowly come out of the fold. Bend the front leg slightly. Put the weight in the front leg. And then walk that back foot way back so that you're in that low runner's lunge again. And now this time, spiral that back heel down. So the toes face the right side of the mat and the foot is parallel with the back edge of your mat. Use the strength of your legs, press up to standing, warrior 2. So again, sometimes we end up here. I want you to pull your spine center in between the legs and then stack your shoulders over the hips. Now from there, firm the inner thigh of this long back leg and then start to bring your right hip back, left hip forward. Open that left knee back in line over that left toe. This is the hip opener. You're using the strength of your legs. Option to open those arms. Look forward, warrior 2. So it's the outer left foot that's active and the outer right foot. Keep pulling your legs apart as you bring your inner thighs together. 2 more breaths. 1 more inhale. Exhale, slowly straighten the front leg for triangle pose. From here, keep the pelvis and the shoulders stacked in one line as you lower down. And then once you've gone as far as you can, lower that left hand and stack your arms so you're in a nice straight line. From here, once your fingertips can maybe go onto the block or onto the floor in front, you're going to twist open. That's it. Now, soft, don't lock those knees. And I still want you to feel your inner thighs reaching towards each other. It's going to help you twist. That's it. Keep reaching that right arm up like someone's pulling you to the ceiling and keep pressing down into the floor with the left arm. Option again, bring the hands to the small of your back and then open that shoulder to the ceiling. Lift your gaze, lift your chin, open the throat. Firm back leg. You got it. 2 more breaths. Again, you can always use the blocks, right? That's it. Slowly unwind, Rebend that front knee, pivot the back heel up, lower the back knee, and take another child's pose. Open those knees, sit back towards the heels. Breathe into that stretch. Really nice. So that's the end of our standing work. We're going to go into 2 more deep seated hip openers and then just do a little extra movement at the end to reset everything. Okay, so there are 2 ways to get into this next one. It's called pigeon. One of the best ways to do it is from downward facing dog so that you know that you're in your nice balanced grid and your hips aren't out of alignment. So I'm going to show you that. Now, if it's too much, you can get into the pigeon however you'd like, but chances are if you're not able to get into pigeon that way, then you probably should do the seated version where you are bringing one ankle over the knee and you pull that foot close to you and you lift your chest as you open the knee. So this is a great modification if pigeon itself is too much. Now, props are your friends in pigeon. I would have the bolster towards the front, or even the bolster could be under the hip. All right, I'm going to use the blocks to show you under the hip. This is Clem doing her hip opener. All right, so have your blocks ready, but you're going to find your plank once again. All right, stepping back, and then use that to come into downward facing dog. Lift that right leg high to the sky. Open it up. Now bend the knee to the nose. Curl and bring the right knee behind your right wrist. And then ideally your right foot is trying to get up to your left wrist. Don't force it. Wherever it lands, it lands. Now untuck the back toes. Now you don't just go into pigeon from here. Now I want you to lift up. You can use your blocks to find this part. And I want you to move that back leg back behind you so that you can try and get your shoulders over the hips. And ideally, this right hip, you move Clem's leg, is on the floor. Now, if this hip does not get to touch the mat, that's where your block comes into place. You slide it under right where you need it. It's too big for me. So I would probably use a blanket at that point because I might just need a little bit of lift. All right. Now, once you find, again, the same thing, nice long spine. Also check this back foot. Make sure the foot and the whole leg is directly behind your hip, not off to the side. Hips are square. You're trying to bring that left hip to the floor, and then you're going to bend your elbows lower, long spine, draping over. Now you can use a bolster. You can stack those blocks, eventually going all the way to the floor. Okay, and breathe into this pigeon. I would actually stay here at least 10 breaths. So you can count those out. Got 4 more breaths here, releasing, surrendering into the floor. And then when you're ready, very slowly, come back to your hands to the floor. Lift that back toes, get your hips up, take that leg, come back to downward dog to do the other leg. Lifting up, lift your left leg, reach it, open up that hip, and then bend the knee, bring it tight to the nose. Externally rotate, lower that left knee right behind the left wrist. Now check your back leg, make sure it's right behind you. Use the blocks as you need to lift your torso, and then try and slide that back leg, trying to keep this nice lift. Once you're there, this hip definitely needs a little more support. And prop that block or blanket underneath your hip if it doesn't touch the mat, and then fold over. Trying to relax with every exhale. Remember, hold at least 10 breaths here. We have about 5 more. One more inhale. And then exhale, slowly come up. Remove your prop. And then lift off that front leg. Take one more child's pose. All right, the last deep held stretch. It's going to be frog. This is a more intense one. So you're going to open the knees to the width of your mat, and then open the feet as well so that they're almost as wide as your mat. Now from here, you're going to take the blocks. I like to, just because this is hard for me, put the 2 blocks here and then the bolster on top of them. All right, and so I'm trying to keep 90 degrees in my knees, and I'm keeping my hips right over my knees, and I'm going to lower down. All right. It's an intense one. So the best thing is to keep those knees 90 degrees, flex the feet too. That's it, and just let gravity help the stretch. This puts too much strain on the knees. You can put blankets under each knee as well. It sometimes helps. As the hips open up more, it won't put the strain on the knees. It's just part of it is because of the lack of mobility. Most of the pressure is going into the outer edge of the knee. And so held for a long time, it can just be uncomfortable. And you also just want to make sure as you come out of it that you come out slowly. Ooh, there's a reason I save this one to the end. So, over time, you would lower the proppage, so you're closer to the floor, and then even eventually just being all the way flat on the floor. Ooh, it's a tough one. Hold for about 4 more breaths. And you can always hold these longer. I would say at maximum 5 minutes. Probably not much longer than that, but work your way up to 3-minute holds for the pigeon, for the frog. Not for the standing one, but for these last 2, the pigeon and the frog. Ooh, 2 more breaths, you got it. Now, carefully bring your hands to the mat first. Use your upper body strength to lift your torso. Then slowly shift the weight off the knees, walk them in. Good. All right, we're gonna end with a little happy baby. All right, so coming down. Now, if you don't have, I didn't actually suggest a strap for this, but if you can't reach your feet in happy baby, then a strap is a great tool to use, okay? So you're gonna lie down to your back. Go ahead and just hug your knees into your chest for a moment. Give your spine a little massage. And then for happy baby, you're looking for the same geometry. So you want this tabletop shape in your leg, but you're flipping it so that the knee is trying to meet the armpit. Now, it's hard to get a stretch here. I'm just putting pressure on my spine. So instead, I'm going to try and reach and grab the outside edge of the foot. And then I'm going to use this to actually help anchor my tailbone back to the floor as I still pull my knees to my armpits. So it's a nice restorative hip flexor. It's a really good hip stretcher. It's also a really good spine reset. I'm keeping the head heavy, and I'm trying to get my sacrum and tailbone down to the floor while maintaining this 90-degree bend. So I'm putting slight pressure with my arms, pulling down, but I'm also pushing into my hands with my feet at the same time, trying to keep that bend and find that nice release. And then if it feels good, you can extend one leg out to the side and bring it in. And then the other leg out to the side. Yeah, Clem's doing her stretch. And bring it in. Give yourself one more hug. Maybe at the end, if you want to do just a little windshield wiper knee, you can do that too. And we're all done. Great work. Practice this every day, and it's going to do wonders for your hip mobility. got to show you this cat. Hi. Her hips are open. She's been doing it. All right. Thanks so much.